All right, here we go. I'm always following up. I guess it's Joseph Fingersmith, the Not Quite Right Reverend, opens for me every Tuesday. That's how I'm going to put it. His preeminence. But if you like this channel, subscribe. Please put a comment, put a like. You know, up there. Tell us what you think. Ask a question. Need some questions. But right now, we just need the boogie. Well, they call me Joe Finger, cause I'm good with my hand. They call me Joe Fingers, cause I'm good with my hand. Not only that, I'm a piano playing man. Some people try to diss me, cause the blues I play are old. Some people try to diss me, cause the blues I play are old. I said, now get yourself some history, pay some dues for you score. Oh, they call me Joe Fingers, cause I'm good with my hand. Call me Joe Fingers, I'm so good with my hand. Not only that, I'm a piano playing man. But they call me Joe Fingers, cause the memory lingers. Every other joke is a singer, or a real humdinger. Oh, Joe Finger, good with my hands. Not only that, I'm a piano playing man. They say I look like a crackhead, tweaking up on behind the keys. People say I'm a crackhead, tweaking behind the keys. But baby, if I was a crackhead, you know they'd be calling me Joe Knees. But they call me Joe Fingers, cause I'm good with my hand. Call me Joe Fingers, cause I'm good with my hand. Not only that, I'm a piano playing man. telling you, I am playing that song again because I'm trying to come up with a theme song, and that's as good as any. You know, it's as true as any. I've been digging through. I'm trying to find stuff. I got it all in boxes, shifting around from place to place. And I've had stuff I've written all my life, and I don't know where half of it is half the time. Another half the time, I don't know where any of it is. So right now I'm at the half time where I know where half of it is. And I'm trying to gather that half, and I'm going to end up putting it somewhere where next month I won't know where it is. I'll know I put it somewhere safe. And then in a year from now, I'll find it. But I'm trying to get some stuff done. Now, a lot of stuff I've written is only first draft stuff. But people are saying, man, some of the commentary is, tell us a little more about yourself. And some of the other commentary is, keep reading us the old stuff. Maybe for the same reason. Or maybe they just want to hear the old stuff. So I got some old stuff here that I'm going to read. It's kind of typed out. It's the first draft, obviously, because I found some notes on the back, for revisions. And I'm not going to read the revisions. This is based on a true story, as they like to say. Names have been changed because I don't really remember what their names were anyway at the beginning of this whole story. But this is called The Warning. I'm going to talk a little bit about also in here, it talks about meetings. It's going to inform them as meetings. And any opinion that's expressed here about the meetings is a fictional opinion to make this a little more interesting. I don't call any of my stuff autobiography or memoir because I tickle it up a little bit with the express purpose of making it maybe more interesting than it is. The premise of this can't be more interesting. That's why I'm boring you with the build-up. It's not building up. It's kind of quelling now and deflating it a little bit. So I'll hit you with this. It's called The Warning. It was written in like 1972 or 4, between those years. The Warning. He said he was a biker, but the only motorcycle he owned was the chopped Harley tattooed across his back. He showed it off whenever possible. He called it a sure turn-on for the bitches. Another turn-on was the gigantic hunter's knife he carried on his belt. He liked to wave it round when he was standing guard over the freshly waxed floor of the phone company's employee lounge. He'd raise the blade eye level and tell the snooty phone operators to stay the fuck off the floor. When I told him to stop scaring the girls, he said, "What's the matter, boss? Jealous?" He was an asshole who was always bitching about something. He'd start bitching the minute he walked into the Bullseye janitorial service workyard. He'd bitch about having to punch the Bullseye time clock. He'd bitch about having to load mops, buckets, and buffer onto the Bullseye number 2 wax crew van. And all night long, he'd bitch about having to do grunt work. He'd bitch about the work when, to tell the truth, he did little to no work. He'd help load and unload the van, and he'd make sure no women walked on wet floors. But that was all. He'd do nothing else. Nothing else but bitch. He was always bitching about something. To tell the truth, I was okay with his no work ethic. I had quit boozing for the umpteenth time just before he was hired and assigned to me. And when I was drying out, I had no time for gung-ho helpers. In the middle of my terrors, I'd rather work alone. But my boss said a crew leader needs a crew. He's your crew. The biker who wasn't a biker bitching about having to do work he never did was my crew. He did nothing that was okay with me. What wasn't okay with me was his bitching. He was always bitching about something, and that wasn't okay with me. His bitching was a problem. He sounded a lot like the people who took up all the time at the meetings. The meetings were tolerable when the person who spoke had recovery. The meetings were torture when the still suffering spoke. I don't know what they said because I turned them off as soon as the bitching started. And the bitching started as soon as they opened their mouths. I was always bitching about something. The only difference between my crew of one and the still suffering members of my meeting crew was that my crew of one still drank beer. Kegs of beer, according to him. To tell the truth, the first time he pissed me off was when he demanded I stop at a grocery store and let him pick up a six-pack for lunch. No fucking way, I said, no drinking on the job. He pissed me off because he could get away with drinking beer. He was a lazy liar with no redeeming qualities, but he was still able to drink, and that pissed me off. And when he pissed me off, I let him have it, both barrels and a grenade. After 3 days of me taking my sobriety out on him, my no-count crew failed to show for work. My boss said, "You're on your own tonight. Take it easy. Take your time. You're doing the work of two men." I finished my route 2 hours earlier than usual. I was happy. My biker who wasn't a biker was gone. I was alone. I unloaded the van, put away all the supplies, and punched out. An old van that wasn't a work van was parked in the workyard. There was a pasty-faced, long-haired man sitting in the driver's seat. He was the stoner who sometimes gave my former crew a ride to work. He waved me over to his van. He rolled his driver's door down and coughed. When he stopped coughing, he said, "I don't know if I should be saying this, seeing how he's my friend and all." "Who's your friend?" "You know, Vic." "Vic, the dude who works with you." "His name's Vic?" "That's the dude, my friend. Anyway, I don't know if I should be saying this. You said that already." "Oh, yeah, well, anyway, I think you should know Vic's got plans to kill you." I laughed and said, "You're ripped, man." Believe what you will, but he's been talking all last night and today, eating speed and planning your death. He's coming back to work tomorrow, and he's going to beg your forgiveness. Then he's going to work his ass off, man. And then he's going to walk home with you because he knows you pass Big Top Bar and liquor store. And this whore is going to come out of the donut shop, give Vic a big dish of tongue and say, "Got a dime bag and another whore for your friend. Let's go upstairs and party." Vic figures you'll say yes, if not to the smoke, then to the whore. And once you're upstairs getting it on, he'll get behind you with that blade of his and stab you till you're dead. Then he and the two whores will take your body parts out to the desert where they'll make sure no one finds you. Pretty smooth, huh? "Pretty smooth," I said. "Thanks for the warning." I wasn't scared. We'd talk. It would never happen. So I went home and slept the sleep of a dried-out wino wanting to drink. The next day I went to a meeting. Then I went to work. Vic was standing by a number 2 van when I walked into the yard. The van was loaded and ready to go. That night, Vic worked his ass off. Everything else that happened that night happened just like Vic's stoner friends said it would happen. Everything except the part about me going upstairs and getting hacked to death. That didn't happen because by the time that donut shop whore's tongue was leaving Vic's mouth, I was across the busy main street hauling ass for home. Okay. Like I said, it was the first draft, but it was a true story. That all happened. All of it happened, except maybe the stuff about the meeting stuff. But all the other stuff happened. All that stuff with Vic, whatever his name was, he was a disgusting individual. He never showed up again after that night, and I was so happy. And I was glad about the warning, too. And I read that story no matter what. It's my way of thanking that guy. Thanking that guy who didn't have to come out and warn me, so he had a conscience, you know. If my brother wasn't my brother Daniel of the parking lot, St. Daniel of the parking lot, if he wasn't so caught up in this Joseph Fingersmith thing, I'd give a shout out to that band driver, to St. Daniel. And hopefully St. Daniel has already made sure, if this guy's still alive, that he has a parking spot. And if this guy isn't alive, that St. Daniel is securing some kind of job for him. St. Daniel liked weed too, so they had a lot in common. Not to disparage his name, because a lot of my best holy friends smoke weed. And hey man, voices are talking to me about things, yeah. And it's just better for me to pay attention to the voices. And I think I got some more stuff in here. I used to work at the mental health unit. I know. In other mental health units, I didn't work there. I just told people I worked there. But I worked in from 1980 to 1984. I was a psychiatric technician employed by the hospital that's still standing. I liked my job, I liked the patients, and I got along with most of the staff. My boss said I was a natural. A natural what? I don't know. But I took her statement to be a compliment. I took her statement to be the truth. I was a natural. I was a natural with the unit's adult population, whose diagnoses ran the mental health gamut from situational depression to bipolar disorder to paranoid schizophrenia. They all considered me their friend. I was a natural with the troubled teens occupying the same public area as the adults. This was 1984, 84. They did things a little bit different than they do now. Their psychiatric labels were age-specific and almost always included adolescent adjustment disorder. They liked me because I had natural curly hair, a lot of it, and long scraggly beard begging to be trimmed. They were sure I had used one too many drugs, and more than one said, "Man, you burn out, dude, burn out." They liked me because I didn't deny they had my number. I was all those things and more. I explained, wasn't those things anymore. They liked me and I liked them. I truly liked them, everyone, adult or teen. And I demonstrated my affection in ways that came natural. I was natural with them. I was myself with them. I let every patient in that mental health unit know a little bit about me, and consequently, they let me know a little bit about themselves. The revelations were part of a natural process known as sharing. And as the sharing became more natural, we became more natural with each other. Just call me Mr. Natural. And eventually shared more about ourselves with each other. It was to use a burnout hippie term, communal event. In other words, if I was a natural, they were all naturals, and as responsible as me for my effectiveness on the job. A natural extension of this sharing was my playing the piano when I was assigned to the rec room. I liked playing the piano, and I was proud of my strong left hand, boogie-woogie style. I wasn't shy about playing, and the patients, especially the teens, weren't shy about asking me to play. So at least 4 nights a week, the mental health rec room was my regular gig. I played everything I knew, old blues songs, Louis Armstrong, Fats Waller standards, New Orleans and 50s rhythm and blues. I played original songs written about the mental health unit, and without exception, I'd always close with a selection from the Beatles songbook. The patients, young and old, loved those Beatles songs, and each had a personal favorite. So we covered the early. I saw her standing there years and faked our way through strawberry fields and let the more spontaneous patients pound out mean Mr. Mustard Seed drum solos with ping pong mallets on the couch. They loved those Beatles songs and they always sang along. Some sang loud, some sang soft, some sang with bravado, using their own words when they forgot Lennon and McCartney's. Some knew all the words. They loved those Beatles songs. One night, I was more inspired than usual. All 10 fingers were hitting, and my voice was in good form. The patients could feel the vibe. Hell, they were dancing the minute I walked into the rec room and took my place at the piano bench. I played 2 hours straight, and all of it was good house rockin' music. Then one of the other technicians entered the rec room and said, "Time to close down for the night." I stood from the bench and fumbled in my pocket for the key that would lock the rec room. Once the last patient left the lobby, I started to usher the patients out when one of the more outspoken adults said, "I'm not leaving till you play Hey Jude." I looked at the other tech, and he shrugged and gestured towards the upright. I returned to the bench, placed the songbook on the piano, and flipped through pages till I found the patient's request. I always liked Hey Jude, but I was not familiar with the chord changes, so my start was sloppy. I made a couple of minor adjustments during the middle verses, making the transition to the bridge smooth and powerful. The patient choir took hold of the verse after the bridge, and their fervor propelled the song till it's la 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 la, Hey Jude, ad-lib conclusion, which was more ad-lib than conclusion. In fact, every time I thought the song was over, one of the patients would start singing the la 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 refrain, causing the rest of the patients to rejoin the song. And every time the patients rejoined the song, the volume of their singing would increase. After 10 repetitions of the la 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 refrain, the power of the patients' voices shook the very foundation of the hospital and all rooms of the unit. I glanced towards the rec room entrance and saw doctors and nurses from the ER, first, second, and third floors, standing and staring at me and the patient choir, watching. Then the charge nurse of the unit and the nursing supervisor walked together up to the piano. They both looked down at me, and I started to think of the ways to really end the song. Then the nursing supervisor started singing la 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 la, and the charge nurse responded, "Hey Jude." So I kept on playing the piano. Then the audience of nurses and doctors joined the patient choir, and everybody sang the refrain over and over and over and on for another 15 minutes till voices grew hoarse and were forced, due to the strain of such frenzied singing, to whisper, then grow silent, even though mouths were still moving and vocal cords were rattling. I got up from the bench and walked out of the rec room arm in arm with the patient who first requested the song. I escorted him to his bedroom. I stopped at the entrance, shook his hand, and said, "Good choice." He smiled, hugged me, and whispered, "Jude, Jude, a Jude, a Jude, a Jude, a Jude, a Jude." Then he walked to his room and shut the door. Another true story, which reminds me of a song I wrote for those guys in the mental health unit after they were calling me a hippie too much. It's a favorite song. I hope she's watching this. Josette at the 38 Songwriters. I know it's not technically there anymore, but 38 Songwriters Coffee House, whatever they called it. But anyway, Josette. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute. This song is a result of mostly because of the teenagers who come up to me. In the 80s, man, teenagers were a little bit different for the most part, except for maybe my sister, who was kind of a retro hippie, and with unicorn tattooed on her shoulder or back of her shoulder or whatever. But a lot of the kids there were more 80s oriented, more... I'm not using this as an insulting term, Reagan-esque, more Reagan-esque, into good, cool clothes and fancy cars, you know, which is nothing wrong with that. Teenagers have been into that forever. But they were always making remarks about me. I think it's the only way they talk to me is, oh, man, I bet you were a hippie. And back in the day, and really, as a coincidence, and it's mentioned in the song happened, the events in the song happened right at the time when the kids in the unit were saying, I bet you were a hippie freak. I bet you were walking around making the peace sign to everybody, smoking dope and drinking beer, stuff like that. And, you know, I couldn't argue. But this song, in combination with me giving my sister a ride, my sister and her friends a ride to some place. I'm not going to tell the whole story because the story's told in the song. It's how the song was written. And at the end, I'll tell you what happened as a result of this song being written, other than me playing it now and remembering the whole thing. Some years ago, I went to pick up my sister at the house of one of her friends. She jumped into the car with 3 other girls. I guess when you're 15, the party never ends. She said, Joe, I don't want to go home. Take us to the other part of town. And as I took her where she wanted to go, one of her friends told me what was going down. Have you heard about the hippie buzz? All the joy it will bring. It will paint it in rainbows and bearing the word peace, love, and everything. It be for our beautiful people singing and in the pain, giving to go to the minor chord now. We're gonna get all hippie-ish. How about a little bit of that this? Have you heard? Have you heard about the hippie boys? Spread the word. Have you heard? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Closer to the present, my runaway sister come on for a while. She said, I've been through a lot, but I survived. And then she laughs and lights up with smile. Then she tells me about a friend who got wasted in a wreck, in the hospital in a full body cast that began at the top of her neck. To pass the time of day, I saw she was the same girl that was in the car. You know, the one who had this to say. Have you heard about the hippie buzz? All the joy it will bring. It will be painted in rainbows and bearing the words peace, love, and everything. So I went out to the parking lot. I looked up into the sky. I said, I hadn't asked you a thing, dear Lord, but why, oh, why, oh, why do you let these people think after 53 years they sink it still, that a hippie bus will come to the rescue when you know it never will. Here we go again. Can't keep these microphones on, that's all right. It's just like playing live music on stage. People ask me if I need any more in the monitor. I say, no, baby, it's already too loud. I already know what I'm supposed to play, and one of the great things about this show, it doesn't matter what I play. I can change chords all the time. Oh, the hippie buzz. I'm on it right now, baby. After 53 years, they sink it still. They sink it still. They sink it. They sink the hippie bus still. They sink it still. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Tracer. Tracers of love. Tracer. Tracers of love in my eyes. Remember how they used to sing like this to convey the sweetness, sweetness and bliss. Call us dirty, we're not dirty. All the great unwashed believed in hygiene. That means keeping yourself clean, keeping the world clean. Remember Earth Day? Make love, not war. I could go on and on, but I hear you all saying no more. A recap of last week's episode. I went out to the parking lot. I looked up into the sky. Said I hadn't asked you a thing, dear Lord. But why, oh, why do you let all these people think? After 53 years, they think it's still that a hippie bus will come to your rescue when you know it never will. Then I heard the thunder, the sky opened, the clouds made way for a beam of light that carried a voice that only had this to say. Have you heard about the hippie bus? All the joy it will bring. It will be painted in rainbows, bearing the words of peace, love, and everything. Hippie full of beautiful people, singing out in the pain, giving us a welcome. Oh Lord, that bus is coming sooner than you think. One more time, y'all. Have you heard about the hippie bus? All the joy it will bring, yeah. It will be painted in rainbows and bearing the word peace, love, and everything. Peace, love, and everything. Peace, love, and everything. I'm gonna put the headphones on now. They slipped off. I was ready for that to happen. This is the good thing of live music playing experience. You don't have to hear it if you know where your hands are supposed to be. You hear it in your head. I say you. I hear it in my head. I heard music in my head. I saw music in my brain before I ever played any kind of music. So, left to my own resources, you know, I don't even need. Tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't usually tell band stories, but this is a band story because I like it. I was playing with this band for a long time. I'm not going to name the band. I like everybody. Everybody was cool. But at this one place we were playing, you know, people keep on coming up to the leader of the band. I wasn't the leader. I'm a co-leader of one band. It's Finga Finga. Before I'm done, I'm going to show you these shirts that we got for sale. We got a Joe Fingas shirt and a Finga shirt. Fingafaya. Finga for all y'all. For all y'all. That's the copyrighted, trademarked meaning of that word. And now, but anyway, so this guy was playing. He's leading. They come up and said, it's too loud. He turns to me. I'm sitting behind him. He says, the piano, it's got to be the piano is too loud. And it could have been the piano because I didn't have a DI box or DL box or whatever and went directly into the PA, didn't have an amp. So it could have been that. So I turned it down. They came back and said, it's still too loud. Turned to me again and said, when are you going to do something about that piano? I said, right now. I turned it down again. I go doing my thing and everything. I mean, I'm not hearing the piano, but that doesn't mean they don't hear it. So I'm playing the piano because I don't need to hear it. And so the guy turned to me the third time. He says, man, when are you going to turn down that piano? I said, I'll take care of it, man. It won't be a problem anymore. He says, good, it better not be. And I turned the piano off and just acted like I was playing. I mean, I was playing the right chords and notes because I knew the songs. But I just acted like I was playing. And still, a person came up and said, it's too loud. And he took that at me. And I said, I don't know what else I can do. I didn't tell him I turned it off. You know, but the thing is like, he acted like he could hear me as well as he heard me when it was too loud, when the actual piano was on. So sometimes in some bands, it shows you, not all bands, you know, and not even this band with the other musicians, but it shows you how important he thought the piano was. It's like he's not even paying attention to it. It's not even in his mix. He didn't even know whether the piano was on or off, as long as I acted like I played my solos. So, or played my parts. So that's my philosophy. I don't need to know whether the piano's on or off. Sometimes I'm getting a little bit more, now that I've become a media star, I'm a little more, I don't mean for it, but the ego is getting a little bit much now. Now that I'm such a YouTube phenomenon, you know, so you want to say you were in on the ground floor, you know, it's really, we're up on the second story right now, but you can still subscribe, and I'll give you credit for being one of the first supporters of it. Subscribe to it, man. I mean, you know, 31, maybe 32 subscribers. That's hitting the big time, buddy. It's hitting the big time. My ego's kind of getting away with me a little bit. So, yeah, last week was the first time I said, man, can you turn it up a little bit in the monitor? I can't hear myself. I went home because I review my day every day, you know, where I was a good guy or not. I said, hey, maybe you better watch it. You want to hear yourself in the monitor? You know, next thing you know, I'm going to be watching these YouTube things, you know. Yeah. But anyway, that was my hippie bus song. I got a little transfixed. But I wrote that song at the for the mental health unit. What I was going to tell you is that was the deal. Is that one young lady in the car with my sister said, have you heard about the hippie bus? Because she was a retro hippie. And then some of the kids at the mental health unit said, yeah, I bet you rode around in a bus all day and, you know, said peace and love. So that's where the peace, love, and everything in the hippie bus came from, that idea of it. So I played that song. I played it for about a week. I came and I played it. And there's a couple of things that happened. They had art therapy and occupational therapy. And so the staff would come in through the back door so they wouldn't have to go through the whole hospital to get to the unit. So I went through the back door, and it took me a minute because my head's down. It's the 4 to midnight shift I worked, and so you don't call it graveyard at a hospital. Well, actually, that's the 12 to 12 midnight. I worked that shift too, and you don't call that graveyard, but I worked the swing shift. You can call it the swing shift for all kinds of reasons. But anyway, it took me a while to look up at the wall. In fact, one of the kids said, "Look up at the wall, look up at the wall." And I looked at the wall, and it took me a while to hit. But for art therapy that day, everybody drew hippie buses. And they had these pictures. I wish I had kept them or had them. I don't even think they were given to me. I think the kids took them home or whatever. But they loved the hippie bus song so much they drew pictures of it. And then years later, and I remember this young lady's name, years later, this young lady, because sometimes people, stop me at stores or whatever, Walmart or is that another store? And this woman, I'm not going to say her name. I don't want to embarrass her in case she's one of the 31 or 2 people who subscribe. But she told me how much she loved that song and remembered that song, and she's grown, and she had a couple of babies, and she said, "You ought to record it one day." And I did record it. I recorded it in 1998 on a CD that came out in 2000, and it's become a staple of my live show for a long, long time. It's all thanks to those kids. Thanks to those kids. I'm going to have to stand up for a minute. But thank you, kids, and thank you, everybody at that mental health unit that provided such inspiration for me in all kinds of ways. And from this Hey Jude song to the hippie bus song, it's just like that. It just happens. Hold on. And I'd like to thank, the Bullseye Janitorial Service, which wasn't really Bullseye. That's a fictional part of it. I'm having so much fun in here. I like mixing this up and doing some of the poetry and stuff I've written for a couple of reasons. This is a Joe Fingas shirt. It's an iconic photograph. The engineer, the video and sound man, Sean Williams, also worked with the person who took this photograph. It's a photograph first. And I won't tell you about our discussion Sean and I had about this picture, but he was surprised to have met the person who took the picture. Iconic photograph turned into a T-shirt. You can have one of these for $20. $20. And I'm going to do a better job of sending them right out to you than I did with the gentleman who bought a shirt last week. I just got the shirt out yesterday. And I'll get it right out to you. If you buy one for $20, Oh, okay. And Sean Williams, I think that's Sean Williams. I got a voice in my head saying Sean Williams, who I allow to have access to these shirts, will put some in his car and deliver them to the people who want some from him. So that's cool. And now this is my band, Finger Fire, for all y'all. There's a secret meaning to it, too. And I tell you, here's our first content. Fire means for all y'all. This is my first contest. Fire means for all y'all. Finger Fire. Okay? This only for people I know if you know. I know if you know already. There's a second meaning to this. So if you already know, if you already told me you know what it means, or if I've told you what it means, the second meaning, don't write it in. If you're the photographer of my picture, don't write it in. Okay? Randy Bridges, don't write your name. Don't write down the answer. Okay? But FIRE means for all y'all. It's an acronym, but also means something else. If you can, the first person who tells me, well, we're going to take a week for comments. And so all the correct comments will be written down and put into a hat, and Sean will get somebody else to pick a name randomly out of the hat, and that'll be the winner. We'll announce the winner next week. So please like, subscribe, and comment. You have to be a subscriber for this to win one of these shirts. I'll throw in a Joe Fingas shirt, too, if you can guess it. I'll throw in 2 shirts. 2 shirts. It's a contest, a 2-shirt contest. Right there. these 2 shirts. I'll give you these 2 shirts off my back. Even in the summertime, I wear 2 shirts, even though it looks like I'm not. One other thing, and I'm going to give you an example of it. I got a podcast called Fingas on the Pulse. It's on Spotify and sometimes put it on Instagram. Now, it's a warning. Most of the podcast anymore is of what I call morning songs. And I wake up congested, so I sound like a little weasel when I'm singing these songs. And I make up the worst songs in the world. I make them up. They got to be the worst songs in the world. I call it morning songs. I got 6 or 7, but I'm going to do one every day for as many days as I can do one every day. And they're called morning songs. And, you know, they're recorded on my phone, so it's crummy recording quality. And sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're just awful. But this podcast, this is not a podcast. This YouTube thing will never be complete without me just... I'm not going to make up no, I got a song. I'm going to memorize that for next week. I'm just going to make up a song because I already played 2 songs I actually know the words to. This is just happening. Get thinking about my life, wondering why you wanna hear about it. But it's okay, baby. No kind of strife gonna make me shut my mouth. You wanted me to tell you a story. You better sit down and bring your lunch, 'cause it will be a long time, I'm telling you. You asked for it. Oh, here it goes. I told you a little something about my past when I was a janitor man, waxing floors, my arm but the extension of a mop. I put that in another song. And then I told you about another job I had working the mental health. I don't know how I got into that field, other than I'm pretty screwed up myself. No lie, no lie, no lie, no lie. Why should I lie? I've done enough of that. I know it leads to no good. I try to be as honest as I can. Sometimes it doesn't end up like I think it should. Sometimes people take offense. Try to put a few dents in my skull when I didn't mean anything at all by what I said. I should think before I act. Keep my mouth shut sometimes. Keep my mouth shut sometimes. I don't always have to say what's on my mind. It's sad when I see people less fortunate than me. I got a form, I got a voice. You know it's my choice whether I speak or not. I've had a good time talking. No, 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 no. Okay. That was my voice told me to do that. I'm sorry. Maybe, maybe. But anyway, are we signing off? I gotta say one thing. If you want to listen to songs worse than the one I just played you, then subscribe to my podcast, Fingers on the Pulse. And if you don't want to listen to them, then come up to this YouTube channel and check me out. You can even check out the Not Quite Right Reverend Fingas Smith, whatever his name is, trashing my name all over the place. And actually, I'm thinking of him when I'm doing this. This is for you, Not Quite Right Reverend Fingas Smith.